Hey, what's going on, guys? Blunt Guts here. This is a Watcher of Realms video. Thanks so much for tuning into my channel. I always appreciate it. Appreciate you joining me as I do go through some of the new heroes that have been added to the test server. In particular, I'm talking about TALIN right now, who is in the gallery. I unfortunately do not have a copy of her, so we've got a lot of questions because she is an incredibly unique hero. One of the most unique heroes in Watcher of Realms, period. She is a marksman. However, she can be deployed on platform or on ground tiles. When she is deployed on a platform, she is a marksman. She's a single target marksman. But when she is deployed on a ground tile, she converts into what appears to me to be a tank primarily, potentially an offensive tank, but a tank nonetheless. Let's go take a look at her skill set. So typically I like to go through the hero details first, look at the base stats of the hero, and get an idea of what we're working with before I look at the skill set. But because of the unique way that TALIN does work, I do think it's important to go through her talent first. Let's talk about the difference between deploying her on the ground versus on a platform tile. So the talent does read increases attack by 15% in battle. That's great. That's pretty simple, at least. It's pretty much the only simple thing about the talent, but she can be deployed on both platform and ground tiles. When deployed on ground tiles, the hero transforms into Berserker stance. Berserker stance reads, reduces attack range and attack speed. By how much, we do not know. I don't think we'll ever know about the attack speed because we won't be able to look at her character sheet when she is deployed on a ground tile because we will be in a stage. But the attack range, once I do have a copy of the hero, I can find that out, and I will do a follow-up video to give some more insight into exactly how this works. It continues, attacks deal AoE physical damage to enemies in range, increases block by 3, and max HP by 100%. I assume that since she already has 1 block, this means her block does increase to 4, which does make sense because you probably want to be able to replicate what a bastion ring would do for you. Since she is a marksman, she won't be able to equip a bastion ring. So her base block does need to be 4. Or maybe need is the wrong word, but it is nice that it is 4, that's for sure. On top of that, her max HP is going to increase by 100%. She's also going to convert 80% of her attack to defense. Her attacks have a 20% chance to inflict 10% vulnerability physical damage, cannot target airborne units, which I think is very disappointing. I think they missed an opportunity here. As a marksman tank or whatever the hell she is, being able to target airborne units would have been a cool little wrinkle to throw in there, but they elected not to do that. So let's talk about what this really means here, right? So max HP is going to be doubled. That basically means you get double value for all HP percent stats. If you look at her hero details here, you can see when we do max her out, put her at max level, she does have 13,097 base HP. If you double that, that's 26k, but it's not just about that, right? You're doubling all of the flat HP values as well. So she will function as somebody that has probably 28, 29k base HP, which is in the higher end of what most of the defenders in the game do have. Now, her attack conversion to defense is an important question, right? Now, initially, you might think to yourself, that is going to be a massive value, right? Because she can stack attack and then she'll be able to get a ton of defense. I'm not so sure that that actually is the case because if you are going to use her as a tank, you're probably going to have to put tank gear on her, meaning HP percent main stat pieces on the right-hand side, which does mean that your attack will be artificially low. Looking at her base attack, it is 4,324, which is on the high side for a single target marksman, but it is not exceptionally high. I'm thinking that with attack percent substats, you likely can get this up to 10, maybe 12k at the most. You convert 80% of that, you're going to be getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 8, 9, 10k defense or something like that, which is great. It's great, especially when you add it on to her current defense of 1,026. You can pick up some more defense percent substats. You could bump that up even higher, but it's not obscenely high. But I am interested in the way that this does actually work, unfortunately, because again, like the attack speed, this does occur post-deployment. There's no way that we're ever going to actually see a defensive value here. So it's going to be hard for us to figure out exactly what her defense is. We're going to have to take it on faith that it works the way that the tooltip does describe. And I unfortunately have learned over my time playing Watcher of Realms that there are many instances where the tooltip is not accurate. I did want to get that out of the way before we went over the details, but now that we've done that, let's take a look at her attributes as well as her attack range. And you can see it is that standard 3x4 tile range that most single target marksmen do have. Looking at her attack, like I just mentioned, 4,324. That is very high base attack for a single target marksman. Great to see. I do think that needed to be bumped up, right? Single target marksmen typically have lower base attack. Cost is 16. Again, on the high side for a marksman, single target in particular. Single target marksmen are typically 12 cost, and that is not the case here. You do see her attack interval is 2 seconds. So that is the Marksman attack interval. Her tank attack interval will be quite a bit higher. Attack speed, as well as all the rage regen stuff, is relatively normal. So nothing really to write home about there. Looking at her skills, her base attack is a magic attack, so it deals 120% damage to one enemy when fully skilled up. Pretty basic there. Now we get into the ultimate. This, like the rest of her skills, is split between her Berserker stance, her ground stance, and her Marksman stance, which is her platform tile stance. So it is a 800 rage cost ultimate, 500 initial rage when fully skilled up. When activated, reduces attack interval by 40%, so she gets 40% faster, and attack ignores 60% of magic resist, which is awesome. It's kind of like a Silas effect, honestly. While in Berserker stance, so in her tank stance, this effect is replaced with increases attack by 40% and all damage reduction by 20%. The fact that she increases her attack right there, I'm wondering, is that in order to increase the defense because the attack converts to defense at a rate of 80% attack to defense? I don't know. It's complicated. I'm not sure if when she goes into this Berserker stance, does she sacrifice the attack for the defense? Are her skills based on defense? You can see she turns into a bear on there. I don't know. It's wild because we're not going to have any insight into the way that any of this functions, at least as far as I can see. We'll see when we get the hero. Maybe there's a toggle or something like that. We can see exactly how it works. But either way, she's also going to dispel 1 debuff from the hero every 5 seconds, which is cool. And when she takes direct damage, she restores 5% of their max HP for the hero and adjacent allies, which is really cool. So there's no internal cooldown mentioned there. Awesome. Very cool. I should also note the effect duration is going to be 20 seconds when fully skilled up. And I didn't add it in there, but the attack interval decrease as well as the attack percent increase is going to go up to 50% when fully skilled up as well. So it is a little bit better than what I was describing right there. I think that for me, the questions I have, aside from the way that the stats work there, is really about this health restore, this heal that she does have on here. Is that going to be without any kind of internal cooldown? Because that does seem like it might be very powerful. If she's taking a lot of small hits, she could heal herself and all of her allies up and keep them up indefinitely so long as she continues to take just a little bit of damage over and over again. Interesting skill, to say the least. Her passive, Nature's Fury, every 8 attacks launched, the next attack deals 480% damage and dispels 1 buff on the target. When the ultimate is activated, this effect is guaranteed to be triggered 1 time. That's cool. That does mean that you will get that buff removal guaranteed when you do activate the ultimate. So that is controllable to a degree. Do love that. And then while in Berserker stance, this effect is replaced with attack has a 20% when fully skilled up chance to trigger Ground Stomp. Ground Stomp deals 340% AoE physical damage to 5 enemy targets. That sounds good, but we don't know how much damage she's going to be doing, so 340% of not much damage is not that much, so we'll have to wait and see exactly how that works out. It is going to hit enemies within 2 rows ahead, and it's going to knock them back, so interesting. That's kind of cool. During the ultimate, the damage range expands and inflicts stun on hit targets for 1 second. So almost like a Torador kind of effect. Very cool. I do love that. An interesting kind of wrinkle to her kit. The final skill is Ironbark Armor, which is an auto skill. 20-second internal cooldown, but it does look like it will go down to 15 seconds when it is fully skilled up. So when deployed, it gains 1 stack of Thorn Shield, which increases attack by 2% and defense by 2%. All stacks are preserved after redeployment. So if you are picking her up and putting her back down in order to utilize these different forms, then you will not lose any gained Thorn Shield stacks when you do redeploy her, which is awesome because it is going to encourage picking her up and putting her back down someplace. I really do like that. So you're going to gain 1 stack every 20 seconds up to 10 stacks. Stack cap is going to go up to 15 at full skill ups. That does mean you will be able to get 15 stacks for a total of 30% increased attack and 30% increased defense, which is pretty damn significant, honestly. It's going to take a while. It does sound like 15 seconds times 10 stacks is 150 seconds, but the rest of the skill is going to reduce the amount of time that will take. It does say each time Nature's Fury is triggered, reduces cooldown by 5 seconds. While in Berserker stance, this effect is replaced with reduces cooldown by 1 second for every 1 time healed, up to 1 time every 2 seconds. What this amounts to is you're essentially going to get this at most every 10 seconds, assuming that you can max out the cooldown reduction that is in this kit. So you're looking at, in order to stack this up 10 times, 100 seconds, which is 1 minute and 40 seconds essentially to get to max stacks. Not too shabby. There's a lot of fights in this game right now that are significantly longer than that, so you are going to be able to get a good chunk of those fights with max stacks, which is awesome. let's go take a look at her awakenings. All right, so the A1, for every 1 stack of Thorn Shield, which is the stacking skill that I did just talk about, increases damage by an extra 2%. That is amazing. So not only are you going to get 30% attack and 30% defense when fully skilled up, you're also apparently going to get 30% damage, which is really, really cool. Again, leads me to believe that she is going to be an offensive tank, which we don't really have very many of those in the game right now. Those that we do have don't really do their job all that well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of manifests in game. But we will see. We will see. Plus 300 attack on the A2. Pretty nice. It's going to bring her up to like almost 4,600 attack. Do like that. The A3 increases initial rage by 300, increases the stack cap of Thorn Shield by 5. So it's going to go up to a stack cap of 20 and gains 2 stacks of Thorn Shield with each ultimate cast. So there's a lot there, right? Increases her initial rage by 300. That means that she is going to be able to cast her ultimate immediately because she has 500 initial rage base. It is an 800 rage cost ultimate, meaning that with this extra initial rage, she will be able to immediately cast her ultimate upon deployment. On top of that, she is going to increase the stack cap of Thorn Shield by 5, so that means that it's going to go up to 20, meaning that you will be able to stack up to 40% attack, 40% defense, and because you'll already have the A1, you will get 40% damage on top of that. That is massive, massive. I really thought this out. I do like this. This awakening, in my opinion, is the best one that she does have, even though the A5, we'll get there in a second, but the A5 might be more important. But I do think that this is the most well thought out one in order to accommodate for the fact that it is going to take more time to build out those stacks. She now is going to get 2 stacks every time she does use the ultimate. So very cool there. The A4 is 8% penetration. Again, going back to that damage dealing mindset for this hero, despite the split between marksman and tank. And then the A5, for every 1 stack of Thorn Shield, reduces the hero's AoE damage taken by 1%. So since it's going to stack up to 20% at this point when you do get the A5, it will be 20% AoE damage reduction. When Thorn Shield reaches full stacks, the hero survives when receiving fatal damage for the first time after each deployment and restores 50% HP. So this is not a true unyielding because you're not getting a period of invulnerability or unkillability, but what you are getting is basically a get out of jail free card. If you take fatal damage, you will not die. You'll get a 50% HP heal, and you'll hopefully live to fight another day, depending on your healer, depending on your setup, that kind of thing. Obviously, it's going to be very circumstantial. You could also take 1 more shot and die immediately. So this could amount to giving you an extra 1 second, or it could save you from succumbing to some attack. You know, it's hard to say. It's not as good as unyielding, but it is at the very least another fatal damage saving mechanism, which should make her a little bit tankier. And I think in particular, this is going to be geared towards GVG more than anything, but the rest of this could be helpful otherwise. The AoE damage reduction is awesome. That is something that is going to help out in a number of different areas. So I do like to see that. So TALIN is a really cool hero. I do like her a lot. Very interesting, very, very unique. I just have a lot of questions about how it's actually going to manifest in game, and I'm going to try to answer those when I do have a playable version of this hero, which should be sometime in the immediate future. So as soon as I do get her, I will do some testing and give you some answers to the questions that I have raised here. But in the meantime, sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think about this hero. Do you have questions of your own? Or hop onto my Discord server. There is a link in the description of this video and chat with me directly about it. Let me know what you want to see tested on TALIN, and I will try to incorporate that into my testing video, which I should have out in the next day or 2. So in any case, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Please do click that thumbs up button. Subscribe to my channel if you do enjoy my content. I would really appreciate the support, and I will catch you all next time.